And I remember from my tournament experience, it was certainly a case of I'm really scared right now. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, Dave, Epic Failure Dave was my battle mod, and I'd be like, Dave, what items do I need to get on this map again? And he's like, oh, Trent, you need to get this, this, and this. Okay. Does this count? Well, is that a blah? No. Okay, then that doesn't count. All right. Or I'll be like, I'll kill a scav, and I'm like, cool. And I'll start picking up stuff. And he's like, why are you picking that up? I'm like, oh, well, you know, it could be. He's like, but it's not on the list. And I'm like, all right, don't worry about it. Let's move on. So.
Welcome to Tarducks, a podcast for content creators to share their experiences and stories. And today I have TrentAU. How are you?
Doing well.
Excellent. So first of all, let me say, congratulations. It's like 7 months late, maybe, or 8 months late for the birth of your baby.
Thank you. Yeah, he's 6.5 months now, Chase. So he's keeping us very busy. New chapter of our lives, and it's it's changed everything we knew about living life, I suppose. So.
Absolutely. Now Chase is your first?
He is, yes.
Yeah. Scariest moment when you get in that car, you look behind, it's like, oh my God, there's no instruction manual. Now what, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's look, for the most part, we've been so lucky with him. He only gets fussy when he's like tired, and you can tell he rubs his eyes, or he's hungry, and like everything just works to clockwork. So we've been really, really lucky. I've heard horror stories from friends that have had kids, and they're like, yeah, look, it's just sometimes they just cry all night. We'll put him to bed at like 7 o'clock, and he'll sleep until morning, 90% of the time. So we're absolutely blessed with that.
Excellent. Now, is he crawling right now?
Not yet. No. We're rolling over. We're learning how to sit up. But it's just going so fast. Like, you'll blink, and a couple of weeks have passed, and now he's doing something completely different. So it's an amazing experience.
Excellent. All right. So what we normally do when we get started, we go 3 rapid questions just to get the juices flowing. So you ready?
Cool.
All right.
Yes. Let's go.
Best Christmas gift ever?
Oh, I mean, it's probably got to go back to like early when I was a kid. Like video game consoles. Any Christmas that there was a video game console involved. I think, definitely that would be the go.
Okay, last movie you saw?
Last movie I saw was, oh shit, I don't even know, man. That's so hard. I think I watched Weathering with You, which was an anime.
Okay, all right. And then favorite meal of the day?
Look, I'm a big fan of a Japanese katsu curry don sort of deal. So I make a mean one at home. So it's like a breaded chicken, all that. Like, I try and do it like once a week. It's not terribly good for you. It does have vegetables in there, but it can't be good for you if it tastes that good. So
no, probably not. All right. So, what is your background? Where do you come from?
So, Melbourne, born and raised here in Australia. I'm a long history of, so I grew up like sort of working in retail and things like that, and little odd jobs. Like I sold tiles at one stage. Like that was my first job. I left school, and Dad said, "Listen, I don't mind if you're leaving school before school's actually finished, but it's Thursday now. You've exited school. That's fine. You need a job by Monday morning, or you're out of the house." And he's not an asshole or anything like that. He's a lovely man. I love my dad. And he just was just trying to get me going in the world. Don't be sitting around doing nothing. So I did that. I built tennis courts for a while. I moved to remote Western Australia, so pretty well like smack bang in the middle of Australia, out there in the desert, and ran a grocery store in an Aboriginal community of like 120 people.
Oh my God.
So that was pretty wild. And then finally came back to Melbourne, and started working in IT, which has just been a passion of mine like my
Yeah.
whole life. And sort of started going to uni, and thought, right, that's it. Let's get serious. Let's go to uni. Let's learn it. Uni lasted about 12 months,
Yeah.
because at the same time, I'd landed a job that was like a starting tech support position. And I was paying something like $12,000 a year to go to uni. And they're
Oh my
like, this is
God.
a computer, and this is a hard drive, and this is, and I'm like, hang on, no. And like at work in my job, like I'm working on servers, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll learn more on the job. So nowadays I'm a system administrator for a web development company. I look after 45 staff members. We've got heaps of clients Australia wide building massive, bits of software and
Yeah.
websites and all that sort of stuff. So I'm doing what I wanted to do in the end,
Oh,
and
that's all you can
that's
ask for.
that's it, and that's the
Yeah.
professional side of stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been an avid gamer my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So growing up, my family owned a video game store.
Oh,
So
no way.
yeah, so and it's you sort of think, oh Trent, you would have had like all the games and stuff growing up,
Yeah.
and it was a blessing and a curse. The blessing was all the new stuff all the time,
Yeah.
amazing. The curse was all the new stuff all the time. You never actually finished anything. I got like it took me to get to like I'm 32 in the end of this month.
Yeah.
It took me to age 25 to actually finish Mario 64 for the
Oh my
first time.
Lord.
Like to actually get to the end of the game.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant game. I realized at age 25 after having just played like a bit of it and then moving on and then just, so yeah, just been an avid gamer my whole life. And really only got into the PC scene probably like three and a bit years ago now.
Okay.
Um, built built a new PC. I wanted something like for work and all of that, and had a bit of
Yeah.
money, so I built this massive PC and caught up with my friends. I'm like, listen, so what's the game to play right now? Like, I've got this beast of a PC. Back in the day, it used to be Crisis. If your PC
Yeah.
would run
Oh,
Crisis,
yes.
you're a beast. And I spoke to a few of my mates, and they said, listen, the game right now is PubG. If your PC can play PubG, you got a beast. I said, what is it really like? Is it really graphically advanced and all that sort of stuff? They're like, no, the coding's dog shit. It's very bad. So if you can get more than like 50 frames a second, you've got a good PC. Um, and I did, and I played that like solidly for 2 and a bit years.
Yeah.
Started streaming, playing that, and all that sort of stuff, and then in the end, sort of got a bit bored with it,
Yeah.
and I wanted something new. I needed a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And found Tarkov, and I have just not put that down
Yeah.
since. Like I think 4,000 hours in what's that? 2.5 years.
Holy
So
crap. Yeah.
it's a fair few hours.
Yeah, I'm there with you. That game has something else. But like in the early days, like since you had that video game store, what are some of the games that stuck out over the years?
Um, I didn't play a lot of FPS games early, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Halo, for example, would probably be the first real FPS game that, like, of course, you played the campaign and that was fun, but
Yeah.
like it sort of transformed FPS gaming for me where suddenly you're taking the Xbox out of the living room and you're putting it in a backpack and you're grabbing the controllers
Yeah.
and all the leads and you're grabbing a network cable and then you've got that small CRT TV that you could carry up to your friend's house up the road so that you could spend the afternoon plugging it all in, so that you could sit on opposite sides of the room and have four of your buddies around a tiny CRT TV while four of his buddies were on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
Like that kind of multiplayer gaming sort of really changed it for me. Like
Yeah.
that was it. Like I fell in love with FPS games from there.
Yeah.
But things like Knights of the Old Republic, for example, that was a
Yeah.
huge one for me. Loved
Mm-hmm.
that. Loved a few of the RPG sort of games, but yeah, like I'm FPS through and through these days. So
Yeah. Oh, very cool. So now I saw that you're PUBG partnered. What does that mean?
yes. So PUBG Partner is, as a content creator, it's something you can apply for, and if they like your content and you're putting out
Okay.
a lot of content,
Yeah.
it's something they'll give you, and it's like you you're a PUBG partner, they'll give you exclusive access to some, information early
Yeah.
on, and you get you're allowed to like restream lots of their major events, like the
Oh,
global
okay.
sort of stuff. So that's really cool. I don't play as much PUBG these days, so
Yeah.
like I'm probably on their list of partners they'll phase out at some stage. Don't get me wrong, I still love it. Like I still
Yeah.
love the game. But you know, for everybody out there, like we all play Tarkov. Like if we're not there at the start of wipe,
Oh, yeah.
putting in the hours and in the middle of wipe, and I sort of get that little break when I'm like, I think wipe's coming soon.
Yeah.
Let's get some PUBG in with the boys,
Yeah.
because I know in 2 weeks that's it. It's just back to
Yeah.
Tarkov, and the grind has begun.
Yeah. So now, how did you find Tarkov? Like, what did you just read about it? Because it's when it first came out, or
It's
a couple of years ago, it's not on the mainstream on radars.
No, it's not. And like I'd seen some probably like I think like sort of 3 or 4 years ago, right? Like I think I'd seen some on Twitch and just went, oh yeah, what's this new game? And I had a look, and my first reaction was, nah, I don't. This just looks terribly unpolished. I don't know what's going on. And that was it. And I just went, you know what? It's not for me, and just moved
Hmm.
on. And it was like 2.5 years ago. A streamer that I watch, Critical, who I knew from PUBG and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. And he started playing it. And I just asked him, I'm like, what do you think of it? He goes, it's fun, man. It's really addictive. And I'm like, cool. Is it hard? And he goes, it's so hard. I'm like, right. That's my game then. That's what I want to play. I want something that like I've got hours to play games.
Yeah.
And I love something. I just love learning new stuff, and I
Hmm.
love I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm like a CS:GO god or anything like that when it comes
Yeah.
to FPS games, but this had some of those other elements to it. Like you don't have to be the best shooter. You don't have to hit
Yeah.
headshots every time like it helps. Don't get me wrong, it
Yeah.
helps. But you can just have really good map knowledge and use that to your advantage. And there's
Absolutely.
so many other elements to it, right? So, and I just said, are you having fun? Are you enjoying it? And he'd been a bit burnt out on PUBG and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm having so much fun. I'm like, right, that's it. So I bought the standard edition,
Yeah.
and I played, I think, a couple of scav raids offline. Um, and I didn't really touch it. Like I sort of just got my way around the menus and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I didn't really do any PMC raids. I just sort of just got used to the controls and all that sort of stuff. I think I shelved it for like a week. Went back and played some PUBG on stream and all that sort of stuff, and then it got to the point where I was like, cool. I still don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. I think it's time to learn.
Yeah.
Like let's jump in. Let's do PMC raids. So I reset my account again, because you got to wait like that week after you've done it.
Yeah.
So I reset it and went, cool. Day one, let's go. Hit the go live button, and that's it. And we're out there, and we're learning Tarkov,
On stream.
and on stream,
Oh,
and
nice.
and I didn't really have any friends that like played it or anything like that,
Yeah.
so it was fresh, and I still remember like there was one of the very early raids, and I was a much smaller streamer back then,
Yeah.
swapping games from PUBG, like a lot of that. For any content creator that's ever swapped game, they know the numbers dip.
Yeah.
And it was late one night. I'd started the stream late anyway, and I'm playing, and I'm on customs, and I've killed like three dudes in dorms. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I ran out the back, and I'm like looking at my extracts. I'm like, cool. And somebody in chat had said, hey, this is like there's the vehicle extract just outside dorms. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, wicked. And then they obviously went off somewhere. And it's late at night, and I'm sitting there, and chat's very quiet, which is all fine. So I'm sitting where the dorms extract is, because I got
Yeah.
the little map up and all that,
Yeah.
and the car wasn't there yet. And I'm like, oh, okay, car's not here. That's cool. There's still a bit of time in raids, so I'm just chatting with a couple of the PUBG people out of chat, and we're just sitting there, and we're watching the timer go down. And I'm like, look, I don't really know where these other extracts are, so I'm just gonna stay here. And the timer's going down, and this guy came back. I think he was having dinner or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's come back, and he's like, what are you doing there? I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for the car to get here. He goes, dude, if the car's not there, it's gone. Or it wasn't there to begin with. You need
Yeah.
to run, dude. So I had about a minute 10 on the clock.
Oh,
And
no.
and I'm sprinting. I got my little Timmy legs. I got a
Yeah.
backpack full of shit that wasn't worth anything, but I filled it up because I'm like, I'm just gonna take all the stuff. I don't know what's
Yeah.
what, and I'm running, and that's it. We MIA'd, and
Oh.
that was a learning experience, but
Yeah.
um, just an amazing raid. I still
Yeah.
remember it to this day. 4,000 hours later, like thousands and thousands of raids later,
Yeah.
and that was it. And that was me learning Tarkov on
Yeah.
stream. So,
It's
uh,
crazy. The game punishes you for just, simple mistakes, and but you know what? You remember this encounter, like you said, 4,000 hours of gaming, and you still remember these encounters, and that's the thing that this game does that no other game has done for me anyway.
yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, right? Like, I've got this. It's been a bit hard this wipe and last wipe. The daily task, I'd have a daily
Yeah.
task that'd pop up every now and then that's like, hand in 10 dog tags or something like
Yeah.
that. And I hate those tasks, man. And I keep dog tags and sort of put them in a separate container so that I know that they weren't my kills. I just picked them up off a body and I'll
Okay.
use those for the tasks. But through a wipe, I just buy dog tag case after case after case, and I just fill them up in like this chronological order
Oh, no way.
of all my kills. And it's funny, right? Like, I get to the end of wipe, and I always go through and I screenshot all of the cases there because I'm like, these were all of my memories from this wipe. And
Yeah.
every now and then you'll just see a name, and you're like, you know what? I remember that fight. That was 3 months ago. And I still remember that guy. I don't know how long he was chasing me across the map
Yeah.
for, but we spent 20 minutes fighting each other, and I got
Yeah.
him in the end. And it's just they're memories, right? Like, and that's
Yeah.
why I keep them.
Yeah.
All of my mates are like, just sell it, like trade it for junk boxes or whatever, like get the
Right.
money for it. And it's like, no, 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 don't you touch my memories, man. This is precious.
It's like Harry Potter, those that's crazy. Yeah, it's funny. My
Yeah.
buddy is the same way with like, if I get the tag, I don't care. It's the kill I want. But like we were on customs last night and he killed somebody over in Big Red from across the river. He's like, I'm gonna get his dog tag.
Awesome.
No, we're on this. Our extract's this way. You're going to go there to get the tag, and yep, it's like it's just funny how people different things, different nuances of the game. People have I want my dog tag, and then you were saying you have
Yeah.
yours in separate cases, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like I'm the same. I've got to have that dog tag. I got to
Yeah,
know exactly how many meters I shot them on. I got to know exactly who they are. And I
yeah,
mean, I play on O servers, right?
yeah,
So we all people in OS play on the OS servers because we
yeah,
got one server to select from. So and because there's not as many of us as well, like you will run into a lot of people
yeah,
or that you've met playing Tarkov and you've spoken to in the Discords or you've met in another like OS person stream. Like you're all
yeah,
very aware of each other. And there's a lot of people out there. I'm like, I have no idea who that is.
yeah,
But there's a lot of people you'd be like, oh man, I got to message him after that. Or you look over at Discord and there's already a message there going, where were you?
yeah,
Like, where did you shoot me from? That, like, I didn't even hear it. And it's like, yeah,
yeah,
man, I shot you from like across the river and it was amazing.
yeah,
So it's yeah, no, it's really cool. But I gotta have my dog tags because
yeah,
memories and just yeah, no, I don't know. It's my thing in Tarkov,
yeah.
right? I'll leave a hex grid and everything. Just give me my tag.
So now, what was the hardest thing to learn playing this game?
I think realistically, like the hardest thing for me, the gunplay, fine. Like
Yeah,
it's difficult versus some other FPS games. Like it's got a lot of its own like little nuances that like
yeah,
are Tarkov things, right? Like recoil in it is a bit different. Like coming from
yeah,
PubG, where it's you really got to control the recoil into Tarkov, where as you level up, there's that self sort of adjusting, or
yeah.
leveling recoil. The hardest thing for me, man, was like learning player spawns at the start of a map. Like the most
Oh,
punishing thing you'd spend ages building your gun, you'd put it all together, you'd get your kit, and chat's telling you,
yep.
okay, put this attachment on there and grab that from that, and you buy that from Peacekeeper, and no, you need dollars for that, go and get dollars. And you've spent 15 minutes putting everything together.
Yeah.
And you load in, and it takes 5 minutes to load in, and or 10 minutes to load in if it's a busy night. And you get in, and you're like, right, let's go. And you go in a direction, and bam, you're dead off the mark. 30 seconds in a raid, you spent 15 minutes preparing for it. And what did you learn? Absolutely nothing. You didn't know where they were. You don't know where they came from. Like, you don't know what you could have done better. You haven't even learned the extracts on the map because you didn't get to the other side of the map yet. Like, that, for me, difficult. Very, very difficult to learn. And it's just something that you just have to look at some maps, learn where some of those player spawns are, and then just be ready on the get-go. So, I think that was probably the most.
Either hunker down or go off into a different direction, get your bearings, and but you're right. It's to me, I think knowing those spawn points are so important.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a scary game. Not so much these days. It can still be sometimes, but like starting off, Timmy just butt naked out into the world, fresh. Here you go, mate. Good luck. Slap him on his packer and just scary. Like and then to die within 5 or 10 seconds. Like I think the first few like times I'd played, I just would look at the map selection. I go, oh, okay, factory. Oh, factory's the easy map. It says in the game that it's the easy map, and it hasn't got many players. Fantastic. Load in, glass hallway spawn, dead in 3 seconds, and you go, oh, okay, cool. Let's really reflect on that. What could I have done better? Nothing. Okay, excellent. Go again.
Spend 10 minutes getting kitted up, and
that's it. Yep. But it's all part of it, right?
Yes.
And it's and I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So now, what? Like I call it, I say, when I describe this game to people, I say it's a high pucker factor. You're just, you don't know where things are coming from, noises, and you're just on edge the whole way through. But it's something special. So what was it got hooked? What was the thing about Tarkov that hooked you?
I think it's just the way it rewards progression, right? Like, as I said, butt naked Timmy into the world. You got nothing. Level 1, you got little Timmy legs. You can't hold a gun up for very long. And by the end of a wipe, you're this giga chat of a USEC or a bear who's just got like money that I earned from the bodies that I murdered, and like you've done all these tasks, and it's just there is I love doing the tasks and things like that. Like for me during a wipe, as a lot of people do, I'm sure, it's just this measured progression that happens all the way through to wipe, all the way up to Kappa, and I'm sure there'll be more in the future, but you can see where you started. You work your way through it. You see where the end point is, and it's just every day there's something to do. There's something to get you better. Work towards that goal, and then you set your own goals. Mm-hmm. You do whatever else you want after that. Right. So for me, this wipe, it was for the third wipe in a row. Being a new father, I haven't had as many hours to play, but I've still got, on a lunch break or something like that, I can go and swap my crafts. But I was adamant that this wipe, I was going to get max crafting. I finally did.
Oh, no way.
It takes a lot of A-Bing your crafts and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if it was that worth it.
Yeah.
I think the journey was more fun than actually getting max crafting. I don't craft a lot of things these days now. But, just setting your own goals like that, I love it. But progression, it's what's got me hooked, and it's what will keep me here the whole time.
All right. So now, what's your least favorite quest?
Now, I know usually the answers for this are things like Tarkov Shooter and all that sort of stuff. Like they're very common answers for this. Mm-hmm. My least favorite quest at the moment, I think, has been the capturing outposts task.
Oh, yes.
So that's the kills at Foundation. You need 15 kills there. You need 15 kills at the med camp on Woods. Both of those are fine, by the way. I get those done every wipe.
Pier.
It's the 15 kills down at the pier.
Yeah.
And I don't like any task that... I love tasks that take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's why I learnt to love the Mosin and things like that. Shotguns, learnt to love them because of the tasks.
I hate shotguns.
But a task that encourages you to just go, I'm going to go to pier, and I'm just going to sit at pier.
Yeah.
And we're just going to wait. And eventually a guy will come down, and I'll catch him by surprise with his pants down.
Yep.
And maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe I'll spend 30 minutes sitting here. And I pretty well don't play, I play Tarkov off stream
Yeah.
for scav runs, stash management.
Yeah.
But I play all of my PMC raids as much as I can on stream, right? And you'll be sitting
Yeah.
there with chat and you'll just be like, yep, I don't think anybody's coming, guys.
Tumbleweeds are going by. It's like,
Yeah. And it kills me. So I think that's probably my most hated task. And
Yeah.
just because it doesn't lend itself to being an entertaining task.
Right.
You could get it done maybe, like by chance. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, if it was a task you got at level 10 or 15, yes, I think you would get it done by the end of
That's a
White.
good
But
idea,
when you
yeah.
get it, I don't want to sit up here for that long. I get bored.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's your favorite quest?
Favorite quest? Tarkov Shooter Part 8. So 3 PMC kills on woods with a bolt action.
You like torture? Oh my god, that's
yeah, no. So Tarkov Shooter is actually one of the tasks I get done pretty early on every wipe. I try and do it as soon as possible so that, people are still running, they're happily running class 2, class 3 armors. Maybe they got some class 4 about them. But when Woods is busy, try and get that task done as soon as possible. But I'm a Mosin man through and through. I think I spend probably anywhere from like up to level 35 maybe, just basically maining a Mosin.
wow.
And it's it's a cheap gun. I don't need to mod it. I can just have a stack of them there ready to go. Slam it on, off we go into the world. PS ammo, so long as you've got some of that. And away you go. And even if you hit a chest shot, class 4 or under, they're falling over. So it's good for that. It's very economical, and it's a gun that's rewarding when you hit those amazing shots. It's definitely a gun that sucks when he's got a buddy who's also got a Keta and they were really close.
That's true. So now, do you prefer solo versus a squad, or do you prefer squad over solos?
I like a mix, and generally at the start of the wipe, I prefer solo. And I love doing tasks and stuff with friends, but there's always that you fall out of sync. And if you fail a task 2 times, you're holding your buddies back because they're up to the next thing or you're ahead of them. And, I kind of just like early wipe being able to just go and do my own thing at my own pace. Which is smash through as much as I can as quick as possible. Every wipe I say, you know what, I'm going to sit back and smell the roses, and then wipe happens and there's a 24-hour stream or something like that where I'm just like, you know what? We're just getting everything done. We're going to go to Shoreline and we're going to do 7 quests in the one raid, So solo early on, but definitely later in wipe. Like I love playing duos, maybe trios. I've been doing a lot of 4-man stuff recently, but I've got a really tight group that we all sort of understand each other and we know our call outs, and we'll happily split, into duos and then take each side of the map. So you've really got to trust the people you play with to successfully play in squads.
Absolutely.
And if I play solo, I can't accidentally team kill any of my buddies, which is a running joke. And as much as it's a joke, there is a little bit of seriousness about it. I definitely sometimes I just get caught in the moment, and it's that it's that pucker factor we were talking about earlier. If I'm in the moment and zoned in, and they're like, I'm on the stairs, and I'm like, all right, I heard him, but I didn't listen. And they're like, I'm coming up the stairs now. And it's like, all right, I think I see him at the end of the hallway. I thought I saw him. And they're like, yeah, that's me. I'm up here. And I'm like, yeah, I reckon he's about to peek out. I'm going to take a shot. Bam. And then they go, that was me. And then you go, I was listening too. Like I heard you, but I wasn't listening. It's happened once or twice.
Well, you bring up two good points there. One is this game shows how bad we are at communicating. We think we're good, but it's like, oh, I'm over here. Where? There, the bush. And it's like, next thing you know, it's like you're team killing somebody.
Yeah. It's funny, right? And I've definitely been caught out for that. If it's at the end of a stream, if I had a long day, I've definitely been the guy we'll be on woods, and one of my teammates will be like, oh, where are you? And it's like, oh, I'm by the tree, and then I can't process better how to explain that right now. It's near
Yeah.
a rock. There's a tree. There's a fallen log. There's a bunch of grass. And then of course chaos just happens after
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, right? Like I've had a lot of feedback where people are like, they really should split solos and squads.
No.
And it's like, no, I don't. For two reasons. No, one, that's Tarkov, man. Like there is no
Exactly.
greater feeling than being a solo and taking out a squad, right?
Yeah.
That's just incredible. But also, like squads have that nerf of you'll run into some groups sometimes and they are on top of their game.
Oh
They're
yeah.
all excellent players. Comms are just on point and they'll
Mm-hmm.
slaughter the entire map.
Yeah.
But it's not always. That's a very very rare thing to happen. And
Yeah.
then you'll get like, your Timmy squads where suddenly a scav will start shooting them. They all scatter in all directions,
Yeah.
and you can just pick them off one by one. And their comms are, stop shooting me. It's not me shooting you. Just stop shooting. Where are you? I'm by the tree. I'm near the log. And they're all just
Yeah.
falling over dead. And you're just like, well, that was way easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then the other thing that, this game is punishing about is your callouts. You play with different people. Everybody has something different they call Big Red or Fortress or, in the mall,
Yep.
all the stores, people, they panic.
Yeah, it's and we've got a couple of mostly in the OS community.
Yeah.
A lot of us watch the same streamers. Like we're very lucky that since there's not a lot of players or a lot less players than NA and EU and stuff
Yeah.
like that, like we've sort of had similar callouts.
Yeah.
I know we've got a couple of demonetizing callouts for some locations
Yeah.
that I won't mention here, but and certainly I've had to drop from my vocabulary, like just coming onto podcasts like this. Where I've been doing any of the Evasion events and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I'll be like, he's over near the Rashala's foundation. He's over near foundation. Yeah, we get sponsors and stuff to think about these days, so I'm trying to clean up my
Absolutely.
act, guys.
Now, who do you normally roll with? If you're rolling a duo or a trio or, God help you, 5-man.
Yeah, so I normally roll with cringe_OCE, who is one of close friend, met through, Tarkov and PubG, back in the
Yeah.
PubG days, actually. And we sort of started playing Tarkov around about the same time. So he's been like my main duo partner.
Yeah.
I've sort of got a bit of a rotating roster. Like we've got, so Cringe is one of the BSG Sherpas, one of the green
Yeah.
boys in Tarkov. We've got Afraid, who's also one of the he's a green boy and a purple boy, so he's an emissary and the Sherpa coordinator.
Yeah.
And then we've also got Lionheart, for example, play with him a lot. So we sort of, that's our 4-man that we roll with. But I've got another bloke as well, Potsy, who's another dad from over in WA. So when I can, I get some games in with him as well. So it's good. I've got a close group
Excellent.
of Tarky people that we've been
Yeah.
pretty tight for like the last couple of years in playing it. So
Oh, cool. So now
it's
something
good.
I ask a lot of the guests is, what is your all-star squad? So you can put together, you call out their names, they're there. Dr. Disrespect, whoever. You name it, they're there
Ooh.
for a couple of runs with you. Who you calling out as your all-star team?
Right. Well, it's got to be cringe_OCE, and mainly because we have played a lot together, and he can decipher my stuck in the moment call outs, and that's really important because often it's been a case of I'll go, I'm over blah 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 blah, and the rest of the squad goes, what's he talking about? And Cringe goes, he's over by blah. Now everybody's on the same page, right? So he's definitely got to be there. I think I'd probably stick in like, oh man, like there's so many people, and I think these are people that I just want to play with mainly because I can't. Like Dan
Yeah.
Epsort, who's another one of the amazing emissaries.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to play some games with him. Unfortunately, other side of the world, ping restrictions just
Right.
cannot. And I think, oh, yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know who to fill the fourth spot with. This is a really tough one. This is a really tough one. You've caught me off guard with this. Like,
Now, all time,
yeah.
like guys who don't even play anymore to current.
Well, yep. No, I'm so blank. I'm so blank. I mean, like, any of the other emissary team would be awesome to play with.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, I want to play some games with Nikita. Stick Nikita on the team as well.
Oh,
Let's stop out by the woods campfires. Let's stop for some juice time. It's totally fine. Like, and then carry on from there.
that's a brilliant one. Nobody said that yet, and that's such a good one to have part of your dream team.
Yeah.
Just yeah, I like that. That is awesome. So that you brought up two good things. One is the emissaries and the Sherpa program. That I don't. I've been playing a long time. Tarkov's really the first community I've jumped into, and those two programs are fantastic. So let's talk with the Sherpa program, and if you want to describe what the Sherpa program is.
Yeah, definitely. So we spoke earlier about the fresh into the world little Timmies with his little Timmy legs and like some of those hard things that it is to learn the game. Probably there's no tutorial for this game, right? Like there's a bunch of amazing content creators who put some excellent guides out there. Highly recommend you go and watch some of those if you're thinking of playing Tarkov. But I also highly recommend you get involved in the Sherpa program. So we've got the Sherpa Hub Discord, for example, and Sherpas are people that will teach you the game. They're not there to pick you up and get you all the loot and stuff through a map, but they will teach you about, player spawns, getting through a map, how to put weapons together, like some of the basics of the game. And these are really, really experienced people. So they're volunteers for BSG. They get a green name in game. It is a free service. Like jump into the Sherpa Hub Discord and just put your hand up and go, hey, I am new to this game. I have no idea what I'm doing. Last raid, I took a Mosin in and brought 4 other Mosin mags packed with bullets, and I couldn't reload. Help me, please. And that's what they're there for, right? And they're all around the world. We've got Sherpas in pretty well every region. And you'll pop a ticket in. They'll come and help you when they've got a free sec, and you'll jump into a couple of raids together, and they'll teach you some basics, just to give you that bit of that hand holding to start with and get you going.
Yeah, and it's neat. It's not really just for Timmys too. You go in there and you pick your play style, you pick what maps, and it's really well put together. And actually, I just watched Ms. Dunk, who is a Sherpa for the first time, and just watched her walk this person through a whole bunch of different aspects of Tarkov, and she was very good, very methodical, and it's like that's what a Sherpa is.
Yeah, definitely. And it's we get a lot of people that are like, oh, I want to be a Sherpa. I want to put the application in. I want to be a green name too in game. And it's a lot more than that. Like you really need to be like a super thoughtful, super patient person just to like step these people through it. There's a lot of people that just aren't super comfortable, putting their hand up for some help and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're just a really friendly team of people that, as you said, Miss Dunk, fantastic. She's probably one of the most patient ones out there.
Yeah.
And there's no dumb questions. It's all about ask what you can, learn what you can, and let's just have some fun and let's teach you how to play it. And you're right, it's not just for like the fresh Timmies as well. Like, let's say you've been playing for, I don't know, a couple of 100 hours and there's just some things that you're not getting, or that like, I need help with PvP. All right, cool. Let's go and teach you some stuff, run you through some drills, like teach you about left peak versus right peak mechanics in the game and all of that sort of stuff. It's just brilliant. They do an amazing job, and honestly, like the communities globally would just be lost without them, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the Emissary Program. You're part of the Emissaries. You're
Right.
the AU representative for the Emissaries. What is the Emissary Program?
Right. So the Emissary Program is basically, think of it like community manager light, if you will, right? So we've obviously got the community management team for BSG, and they're a global team of people that are doing all the community manager stuff, all the community rep stuff. The emissaries are like their eyes and ears in each of the regions all around the world, right? So myself and Afraid, we're the OS emissaries for Australia and New Zealand. And basically, like, we listen to feedback from the players, whether that's through our streams, whether that's through the ANZ Discord, which is, going to tick over 6,000 members in the coming weeks.
Wow.
Whether that's any of the other Australia, New Zealand, OS Discords and things like that. Like, Afraid and I are out there collecting information from all those sources, things that are regionally specific. There's feedback from our region, for example, when something that was a massive problem for PubG with our smaller player base
Yeah.
was every time a new map came out, it would split the queue. And then it would split the
Oh.
queue, and it would split the queue again, like, because you would just be able to select whichever map you wanted.
Yeah.
And then it would just, or every time that splitting the queue just made it so you could never play the maps you wanted to play. It'd take forever to get into games. There wasn't enough players, all of that.
Yeah.
And so that was something that people in NA and EU didn't feel. It wasn't relevant to them, but that was
Right.
really important to us. So it's information like that when I say things that are regionally specific. Like, again, going back to why don't we split solos and squad queues, but then have day and night? But then we could do like an MMR queue as well, where like the Chad players play here, and
Right.
it's against the spirit of Tarkov. But again, that regionally specific, important bit of information where we say to the community management, the dev team, it's like, our region wouldn't handle that. The South African communities regions wouldn't handle that. Like, we have only the servers we can play on. We can't bring in NA people or EU people to come and fill our server. So it's stuff like that that's really important for BSG to listen to, and they do listen to it. And we're the people they get that information from. So it's, well, one of the sources. Sorry, there's plenty of sources. I know, for example, Nikita. As much as he's on and off active on Reddit, I know he's reading a lot of that. I know he's super active on Twitter nowadays. Like, his Twitter debut has been probably one of the best I've seen in recent memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically the Emissary Program, and we do like a meeting every 2 weeks where we sort of catch up and talk about some big issues. We're messaging each other all day, every day. We've got our own chats in Discords and Telegram and all this sort of stuff. So it's a really active community of people that are actively watching each of their regions, all volunteers for the betterment of Tarkov and what we love.
Yeah. Now, how did you get involved with it?
So I got involved with that. I caught the eye of some other emissaries that were involved with Evasion. And I got involved in Evasion. I jumped in. So Evasion, so Sigma's esports tournament organization for Tarkov. And so I was the Oceanic solo season 3 winner. And just fell in love with the tournaments, fell in love with all the people that ran it, and just was constantly talking to them and like, listen, if there's any way I can help out with this stuff, like, let me know. And and OS needed an emissary at that point. Like, we were looking to get one in here. We had a couple of other emissaries that were involved in Evasion, and they sort of said, hey, look, this guy's really eager. Obviously, I'd been involved in multiple, just present in the community, right? Because I think for a while there, I was just living and breathing Tarkov. Particularly, I started playing January 2020. Couple of months later, we had, a global pandemic hit. Suddenly, Trent couldn't go outside anymore. Couldn't see any of his friends. So that was it, man. It was Tarkov and Tarkov streams. If it wasn't playing Tarkov every night, it was watching a stream. It was chatting with people. It was in Discords. So I just became a bit known that way, being involved. And just somebody said, hey, like, you should probably look at putting an application in. Cool, did it, and got the job. So
excellent.
There we are.
So that actually brings up another piece of it, the whole Evasion aspect of it. So your first exposure into Evasion, or not really exposure, but just was playing in one of their tournaments, correct?
Yeah. So, and that was, so like I said, that was the, and I won it. Yeah. So that was season 3 of the solo tournament for OS. And it was a shits and gigs entry that I put in. I think I heard Red Ops talking about, or maybe Slush Puppy or someone. in one of their streams, and I was like, that sounds really cool. I didn't even know they did tournaments, and then I watched a few of the previous streams, watched some of the VODs and stuff back. I'm like, okay, cool, I could get behind this. Put an application in. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting picked for this. Like, I had less than 1,000 hours in the game. And I was like, there's no way. And yeah, I got in. And true to Evasion's form, particularly for those earlier seasons, like, they really wanted to give some exposure to new players or people that, hadn't been super involved in it. Like, let's get some new blood in. And I was one of those people that came in, and I actually didn't win my qualifier. I was actually knocked out in my first round. I got brought back in as a wild card because I was I was the highest score of the second place runners from each of the heats. And was able to come back into the final and won it from there. So it was an incredible experience. And like I said, I'm not very PvP focused. Like, I can hold my own in a fight. And there's moments of brilliance where I just go, damn, I'm good at this game. And then I'll run out of somewhere and shoot a scav 30 times and he'll kill me by shooting me in the arm or something like that. Something ridiculous. So I have moments of brilliance where I'm like, yep, I'm awesome. And then I die to the dumbest stuff ever. And I go, I'm absolutely trash at this game, which I hope resonates with a lot of other Tarkov players because we're all like that, right, guys? But yeah, and my strategy going into that tournament was just purely we have objectives here that aren't killing.
Right.
So I can be PvE Andy for this, and I can go and collect the bag from dorms. I can go and get all of these other items and do all these other objectives and just avoid the big fights. I'll use my knowledge right now to avoid it. Like, one of the maps was Interchange. And everybody else has run inside to the mall. Nope. I stayed outside on the highway. We pick off some scavs. We get some things out of stashes. It's all good. Yeah, we hear them killing each other in there. Yeah, that's fine. Awesome. We'll just go right around the outside and we'll hit the extract. We'll get the extract points, and there we go. So, and it worked. We made it in the end. So,
now, was that your first tournament you participated in from a Tarkov standpoint?
First Tarkov tournament ever. And yeah, it was incredible, and I studied so hard for that. Like, I'm talking, I had run sheets of, this is when you go to Shoreline, we had to collect things out of computers and stuff in there, and I'm like, right, where are all the computers? And I would literally have like Notepad open on one of my other screens, and I'd worked out the optimal route to hit all of the rooms in offline raids in under 7 minutes, so that I could be in and out of resort before any of the other players were deciding to come in there as well. Again, to avoid that PvP, right? So I was like, I just have to fully optimize this and let's do it. So yeah, no, it was an incredible experience, and I highly recommend to anyone out there, like, get involved in it, because it is the best way to play Tarkov, honestly.
And that's the one really unique thing about Tarkov is, people say it's not esports, but it is esports. And I like it's just not straight up PvP. It is tactics. It's going after loot. There's so many different aspects of it that is just, it makes it such a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, and it's like, the Evasion team have done such a brilliant job with putting together these tournaments, and there's always that balance that we try and find between, if everybody was just stash running, well, that's not very interesting to watch, but finding that balance between like map knowledge, combat ability, and just even, like, knowledge of where to find items, all of that stuff, which I suppose comes down to the map knowledge, but just trying to get that balance between complete PvE gameplay and then PvP. It's super hard to do, and they've done an amazing job, like, season after season, all these new game rule sets every time for different maps. Like, it's been an incredible thing to be a part of.
And whether it's solos or trios, and then with trios, how people are working together. I remember one of the early seasons, like, you had some of the bigger names of streamers playing together, and they don't play together well. It's like, I thought, let's put these guys together. It's like, you watched them, it's like, Huh. All right. So they are real. You know, they play shitty just like me when they're
Yep.
playing with somebody else.
Well, that's it. And a lot of those game types as well, like they take some of these guys out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really great streamers and stuff out there, and they're excellent at the game, but they play in their comfort zones, right?
Yep.
And it provides a really good. Every now and then they'll jump out of it. But there's playing in your comfort zone. You provide good content. You can still
Yep.
read chat without getting distracted and dying. And everybody has a good time. But it's when you're in that tournament mindset, where everything else just falls away. Like that's your complete focus. The adrenaline's right up there as well. Like that's part of the reason why we have battle mods and stuff. Like originally, battle mods for Evasion were they're the people basically that we have for anybody out there who's not aware. But when you enter one of our tournaments, you have a battle mod, whether you're in a solo, a duo, or a trio, and you'll have a battle mod there who's in the Discord call with you the whole time. So you can ask questions. They'll remind you about time and things like that. And originally they were there because we didn't have any automated scoring or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like they'd be there counting every scav you killed, every item you picked up, every PMC you killed. They'd be looking in a rough stream trying to see like, oh, did he actually kill him? All right, I'm going to put a mark down now and remember at the end we have to just verify if we got that kill or not. And so they're excellent at their job for keeping all the scores and everything like that. But keeping our guys like cool, calm, and collected, honestly, like. And I remember from my tournament experience, it was certainly a case of I'm really scared right now. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'd be like Dave, Epic Failure Dave was my battle mod, and I'd be like Dave, what items do I need to get on this map again? And he's like, oh, Trent, you need to get this, this, and this. Okay, does this count? Well, is that a blah? No. Okay, then that doesn't count. All right. Or I'll be like, I'll kill a scav, and I'm like, cool. And I'll start picking up stuff. And he's like, why are you picking that up? I'm like, oh, well, it could be. He's like, but it's not on the list. I'm like, all right, don't worry about it. Let's move on. So, like, just really just keeping the competitors, like, focused on what they're doing. And it was awesome, right? And nowadays, we've got a lot more of, particularly, like, with the private servers and stuff, we have an automated scoring thing, but we've still got those battle mods there just to triple check those scores, keep our guys all still organized, and it's why it is as smooth as it is. Like it's definitely, I tell you right now, it's definitely chaos for everybody involved in it, just because of the amount of moving parts, but it works as smoothly as it does because of our battle mods in our team, which is really, really cool.
Well, and I had Brian on last week, and he was talking about the battle mods. Like, there's an expectation that the battle mods are all at the same level, all very good, so that there's no advantage because you have battle mod X versus battle mod Y, so they have levels of expertise essentially for everybody's at a fair playing field. It doesn't matter which battle mod you get.
Definitely, yeah, and it's made it really hard to pick out battle mods, like just in general over time, right? Like because you have people that apply, and it's like maybe your knowledge isn't quite there yet, like if there's some things that they're just unsure of. But Brian does an amazing job with all of our battle mods and stuff. And it's something I've been super thankful of, that we've just got such a good team of people that. Like they're volunteers.
Yes.
And like particularly for some of the NA and EU events, like they're massive events, and sometimes we'll have 2 events in one day.
Yeah.
We're talking like it might be an 8-10 hour day for some of these guys, and they're there. They're putting in the hours. They're scoring everything. They're telling the competitors what they can tell them, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah. And one thing I want to just go back on, we were talking about Tarkov, the tournaments, and this was an Evasion one. This was a Twitch Rivals one. It was the one where they had to get one of the tank batteries out, and it was I don't know if you saw that tournament. That was because you had 3 people, offloading the tank battery, and it was just that was intense to get watching like 2 teams getting to the extract at the same time. It was just that's pretty exciting, man, from an esports standpoint.
Yeah, and it's like. I suppose one of the things that I actually love, so that the esports side of it, just that competitive nature from people coming out and doing this stuff. It's so good, like, and it's the right game where you can be competitive. And don't even get me started. Like, Arena is going to be brilliant when it comes to the
Oh
esports
yes,
side of Tarkov. But that's a whole separate conversation. But
yes,
yeah, Arena's going to be brilliant. But just that fully competitive nature, but being able to see each point of view. I
yeah,
think that's what really excites me about Tarkov, because there's so many times you'll be playing Tarkov, you might be able to
yeah,
see your buddy's perspective, but being able to like see and hear what the other team is thinking or doing at
yeah.
that moment when you've got like players either side of dorms or,
Right.
you know, either side of resort going, did we hear him? And then the other players are upstairs. They're like, hey, I think I heard something downstairs, you know, like let's flank this way, let's push this way. And just being able to watch all of those cogs turn over in all the teams' heads.
Yeah,
I love being able to watch both perspectives. Like
yeah.
it's a rare opportunity because you just don't have, like, we don't have a replay system.
Right.
So, you know, you can't be like, how did he get here? Like, when did he get here? Has he been
Yeah.
here the whole time? When did he see me? Like, all of those questions are answered when you watch one of these tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with Evasion, what do you do with Evasion?
So I started off just as one of the, you know, previous season winners,
Yeah.
and started getting involved in the PR side of it for my region. So I was already an emissary, and so it made sense just for me to get involved in terms of just promoting evasion in our region and just
Yeah.
helping out with like the O specific side of things. You know, helping vet some of the players and stuff that we'll bring into some of the tournaments. And then as time went on, I've been involved. I started getting involved in running some of the tournaments as well. And nowadays, I'm part of the what we call internal affairs, which is just the main team for
Yeah.
Evasion. And I run all of the OS events. So, you know, all of
Oh
our
wow.
application processes, picking new battle mods and stuff for the OS
Yeah.
region, getting, you know, competitors involved in the OS tournaments. And then, of course, you know, casting and producing as well the events.
Yeah.
So
Oh wow.
um, it's become a pretty full on gig now,
Yeah.
and I love it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
That's what I hear from everybody who's been on the podcast who are some in part involved with Evasion. They just love it. They can't say enough about Sigma and Hotel, and it's just a very family feeling, and everybody's just committed to it, and it's so good to hear.
It's Yeah, you know, they say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Well, we're volunteers to start with, but
Yeah.
we really do. We really love it, and it is such, they're a good bunch of people to work with.
Yeah.
You can have a laugh with them. They all support each other.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll often have people, not only us OS guys, but like the NA and EU guys getting up at all sorts of crazy times,
Yeah.
unpaid, with no benefit to them, like in the middle of the night to get up and help with our events and things like
Yeah.
that. So, like even for the OS final, for example, that we just finished for the solos,
Yeah.
like we had Hotel on the team getting up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
to produce the event for us. You know, it's 7 p.m. for us, so Toastrack and myself were doing the casting,
Yeah.
and Hotel on the team, and everybody NA was getting up at 4 a.m. earlier so that
Yeah.
they could get everything prepped, do all the mic checks, the camera checks, make sure all the competitors are online and everything's happening. And that's a huge ask.
God.
4 a.m. on a Sunday to get up. It's like
Yeah.
there's not many people you do that for, and just knowing that the other people on the team will do it at the drop of a hat,
Yeah.
and that you can back them up with that as well. Like, that's what I mean when I say everybody just works well together, and
Yeah.
yeah, like they're just a family. It's a really cool thing.
Excellent. So that leads into the next part. We talked about how Evasion is, the community of Evasion is really tight knit and whatnot. And we extend that into the Tarkov community. Again, this is my first jump into it, and I got nothing but great things to say about the Tarkov community. Now, you've been into other ones with PubG and whatnot. How has Tarkov rated against other ones?
Hmm. I think I think it's definitely better than some.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get me wrong. There's every community in every video
Oh,
game has
yes.
got its bad eggs.
Mm-hmm. That's
You
life.
know, yeah, that's just life. But I don't know. I'm not sure if it's like that combined, or that shared understanding of just being brutally just beat up by a video game. Like,
Yeah.
just that shared understanding in a community that all means we all go, oh man, that's Tarkov, isn't it? And you go, yeah.
Yeah.
And you just understand, and it brings you together.
Yeah.
I haven't found that in other games. I've
Yeah.
certainly had some really good experience with the PubG guys and stuff. Like
Yeah.
at PAX in Melbourne, we got together a whole bunch of the PubG guys and had a whole bunch of beers, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic. We hope to do the same with some of the Ost Tarkov crew.
Yeah.
Which we can do now, coming towards the end of a global pandemic. But yeah, no, like, just the community's so good. They're awesome. Like, I love being able to talk to them, but it's not just regionally, like, globally, the community is awesome.
Right.
And it's been the same way for NA, EU,
Yeah.
OS. Like, you can just jump into a Discord and just start chatting with people about Tarkov,
Right.
and they're passionate about it. They love it.
Yeah.
And they're happy to talk to you about it. But also, not only do the Sherpas like help new players, but heaps of just other people in Discords. Like, if you go into one of those looking for group Discords and go, hey, I'm new, I want to just go and do some raids, there'll be somebody in there who goes, hey man, I got a spare couple hours, let's go do some raids. I'll help you with that quest, whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love it. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely. So now let's jump over to streaming. So so you first started streaming PubG. That was your first go live on Twitch. Do you remember what made you do it, first of all?
I kind of did it to start with because I finally had an internet connection that had enough upload. We don't have very good internets here in Australia. So I finally had an internet connection that would let me do it. And I'd sort of been a bit fascinated by this whole streaming thing. Like, I didn't watch a lot of Twitch. Like, I sort of came into watching Twitch and streaming on Twitch at about the same time. I sort of watched a couple of streams and went, I play a lot of video games. We do talk a lot of shit with the guys we play with.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I wonder if that'd work, Like, let's just see what I can make of it. And yeah, like, thousands and thousands of hours later, I'm still here doing it.
Yeah.
It's not paying the mortgage, but it doesn't have to. Like, it's just been an amazing outlet for me just to meet new people all around the world.
Yeah.
I never would have got involved in any of that.
Yeah.
If I wasn't a streamer, I wouldn't have gone and done the Tarkov tournaments. I wouldn't have joined the Emissary Program. I wouldn't have become involved with Evasion. Like, it's opened a lot of doors for me, just from the social aspect.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was a shits and gigs thing to start with.
Yeah.
That's all it ever was.
Isn't it funny how the whole aspect of streaming online is sort of replaced from going out to the pubs, and it's just people are more comfortable staying at home and doing this, meeting people. Your friends online are closer than some of the IRL friends you have.
Yeah, and I think that was really sort of like, especially during pandemic times, like, being able to just chat with people. Like, my Friday, Saturday night when you couldn't go to the pub was streaming and just chatting with people. Like, they were the random people you'd bump into at the pub. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy going out. But the convenience of it, like, you can do it with, have your slippers on, be all nice and warm at home, and you can do it. Like I said, I'm a big video gamer, so I was already going to be playing video games.
Yeah.
If I can also chat with new people at the same time,
yeah,
like, why not?
Yes, absolutely. So now, do you remember your first sub or your first visitor that came onto your stream?
Not really, but I would probably say it was either my brother or my cousin. It would have been either one of them, and I would have been like, hey man, I'm live. Come watch me. And they would have been like, okay, cool stream, bro. I'll be like, yeah, thanks, man. Maybe I'll get affiliate next month.
It's a funny
we got
thing.
there,
when you start up and it's like, all of a sudden you got these people you don't know start chatting to you. It's like, all right, who do I need to be? What do I say? I gotta give them a good show and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's such an incredibly hard thing to start out with as well, right? Like, those early days of growth, like, to go from 0 average viewers to 1 average viewer, like, I know it's only one person on average, but to go from there to like 2 or 3 viewers is insane. And I'm not talking about your mum's iPad out in the living room and, I'll put it on my smart TV as well. Like, but to actually gain those people and then have them come back,
Yeah.
like, that's super hard. And, like, it really went to show, especially, like I said, it was a shits and gigs thing. I wonder if it can be done. I wonder if I can do it. Like the amount of respect I have for content creators that are like up there, 15, 20 viewers, 50 viewers, 100 viewers, like to be able to maintain people coming back after they came to your stream for the first time, something made them want to come back. And it's an awesome feeling to have. Like, it's such a humbling thing to go,
Yeah.
man, that's awesome. I made their night or day better. Like, that was entertaining for them. We
Yeah.
had a laugh. They enjoyed it, and they came back. Like, that's
Yeah.
such an awesome feeling. So yeah, like it's been really cool.
Yeah. Ah, very cool. What's been the toughest thing about, going live and streaming?
Being on.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, like, it's very different to just having a conversation with a friend, like IRL. You don't have to be
Right.
there. Like, your eyes don't have to be bright. You don't have to be smiling. You don't have to be energetic the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
being on takes a lot of effort. And then having people chatting to you in chat, like, you can't. Yeah, you can have some days you can just have your flat days where you're a little
Yeah.
bit flatter than others, but at the end of the day, putting in that effort to be on so that you are entertaining, so that there's a
Yeah.
reason for people to come back, so there's a reason for people to want to support you and subscribe and
Yeah.
all of that, right? Just to be part of that whole journey with you.
Yeah.
Requires a lot of effort. And I think in the early days, like, I was surprised at how, like, I'd play video games until 5 a.m. normally off stream. Like, no
Yeah.
worries. You'd be up with your mates and you'd hear the morning birds start outside. You go, God, I should probably get to bed soon. My wife's going to kill me. But like streaming, you get like 3 or 4 hours into it and you go, I am just exhausted. Like, how do people do this for 8 hours, 12 hours a day and things like that? It's incredible.
And now what has been the highlight from, going live on stream?
Highlights for me, it's been the people I've met along the
Yeah.
way. Like, I know for a fact I have made a bunch of lifelong friends out of streaming, people that I would never have met in the real world. Like, there'd be no reason for our paths to cross ever. And just people that I can, depend on just even have a conversation with, talk to them about stuff that's important to me or, anything like that. So I think that's been the most important thing for me.
Ah, very cool. So now you do other content creation on YouTube or TikTok. Have you, dabbled in that space at all?
I have, and I constantly want to get back to it.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the things that I work full time. I'm a dad. I've got, Evasion stuff. I've got Emissary stuff. Like, I got a bunch of stuff that happens outside of it. I stream when I can as well.
Yeah.
Which it fluctuates in my life depending on, like, if I've got 60-hour work weeks and high work demand, streaming of course suffers because I got to get some sleep in there somewhere. Yeah,
but come on, you're just playing video games. How hard is it? You're
right.
Geez.
It's something that I really want to focus again on in the coming year. Again, is the YouTube side of it. I started making a huge effort into it and I was doing it, but doing YouTube meant that I was streaming less, and I really enjoyed the streaming side of it. And like, I am a not bad editor for my own content, but I'm a terrible editor because I go, oh, I'm not happy with that. Let me just spend the next 4 hours getting this 8-second segment of this video right. And then I'll go, cool. All right. Well, that topic is old news now. It's a week old. Nobody's going to watch it. Let's just scrap that video and we'll work on the next one. And then this segment of 12 seconds, let's spend 7 or 8 hours just trying to get that. I need to just go, you know what? It's a 10-minute video.
Yep.
People will enjoy it. It doesn't need to be perfect. So that's my goal, is to just let's get content out regularly. But it's really hard. And again, I admire anybody who thinks it's just playing video games streaming. It's not. Like, YouTube and TikTok and all of those other avenues take so much time. Like, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. And also there's also the, social media platforms that you've got to be in tune with, you got to keep up with. There's so much more that people don't realize.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, I'm heavily involved in Discord and stuff like that. I mentioned the ANZ or the Tarkov ANZ Discord earlier. We're nearing 6,000 members.
Yeah.
So I've got myself and a small team run that. Twitter. I'm super active on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
I love it as my main platform.
Yeah.
And then TikTok and things as well. Like, there's just so much going on
Yeah.
to make sure you're aware of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you started out streaming PubG and then, streaming Tarkov, obviously. What have you found different when you stream PubG versus when you stream Tarkov?
Not.
And let me preface this because
Okay.
when Pestilli was on, we had him on a recent podcast last year. We talked about how he said that Tarkov is the perfect game to stream. It's like you have the build up when you're in your stash, you can interact with chat. The loading into another area, you can interact with chat. When you're in the game,
Yeah.
you have small moments, and then when you come out, there's the back with chat. It's almost like a nice, perfect game to stream.
And I would completely agree with that. And it was much the same for PUBG, to be honest, as well. Like, you'd have you drop in from your plane on the map, hot drop. It'd be really, really busy, and you'd win that. And then, cool, let's go and find our next fight. But you might not find the next fight for 5 or so minutes. You got plenty of time to chat with chat, and you can talk about stuff, and we can quickly watch that clip that somebody sent through and go, that's awesome, and then get back to the game. And so there was that sort of similarity with it. There hasn't actually been a lot of difference between the two, if that makes sense. Like, it's been very similar for it, and I suppose that's why I picked Tarkov as my next game I wanted to get heavily involved in and stream, because it shared that. And because I knew I could stream it quite well. Like, I had experimented with a bunch of other games and things, different, tried playing a bit of Halo on stream once, but it's just non-stop action. Like, when am I going to get back to chatting with Bob about, what he wanted to talk about and his question that he had? Like, you never find that gap to do it. But Tarkov is it's perfect for it.
Yeah. Ah, very cool. So now, what other content creators do you watch, when you've got, so much extra time?
Oh, that spare time, right? Look, I do watch a bit of Pestilli. I enjoy his streams. He's been doing a lot more of the latest streams, which has kind of been nice for me. I've been, for my time anyway, I've been able to enjoy those. But I watch a lot of Critical. He was one of the first people that I started watching streaming. So he's the guy who got me into Tarkov. He doesn't play a lot of Tarkov these days, but still a lot of PUBG and stuff. And just it's one of those things, right? Like, if you've been part of a streamer's community for a long time, it doesn't matter what they're playing. You're not going there for the game they're playing. You're going there for them and all of your other buddies. It's like it's literally like catching up with your mates down at the pub.
Right.
Cool. I'm gonna go and jump in a chat and we'll talk with all the friends.
Yeah.
But I try and watch a lot of the OS creators as well. Like, used to watch a lot of Voxy during the day. A lot of Red Ops. I'm watching a lot of Toastrack as well at the moment. Toastrack is my kind of gamer where he is just so chill, right? And it doesn't matter, and he will do everything at his own pace.
Yep.
Nothing ever phases him, and it's just a good conversation the whole time. It's very upper class Tarkov in terms of we're just here to have fun. He's got his martini off to the side. So there's so many good content creators. I mean, Sigma as well. Ms. Dunk, you mentioned earlier. Like there's just so many great people to watch.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Toastrack. He was on a while ago, and it's just so nice to talk to somebody closer to my age and 15 or 20 years younger than me. But that's the one thing about, I think the nice thing about Tarkov is it's a mature game. You're not getting the 12, 15-year-old kids playing this game. You've got a mature crowd that's playing with it, and that probably lends to the community why it feels good a lot of the times.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And I super appreciate that side of the community, right? Like, because Toastrack's been doing a lot of the casting with me for Evasion. And it's just, he's just so professional.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you wouldn't be getting that out of a
No.
15, 16-year-old coming in, and it's just, and he's just such a nice guy. Like, how
Yeah.
can you not love someone like that just
Oh,
comes
I
in,
know.
does an excellent job. He's so happy to help out, and
Yeah.
just, yeah, no, he's awesome. He's
Excellent.
awesome. Definitely somebody I want to have a martini with at PAX.
Oh, excellent. So now, when you're not gaming, you're not streaming. What are you doing? Being the dad, hanging out with the wife.
Yeah.
What's your off, away from the computer
Um,
time like?
I mean, yeah, it's being a dad. That's definitely keeping keeping me pretty flat out these days. But that will slow down. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been working on a few home automation projects through the house. I love to tinker with like electronics and things like that.
Yeah.
It just goes to my my nerdy side of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, working on some home automation stuff. At the moment, my parents don't live too far away. At the moment, we're helping. I've been spending a few nights recently down in his shed. We've got an old Chevy van that was converted by the Tiara Motor Coach Corporation in the US. The car then was sent to Japan. It was a president, like a limo there, basically. It's an
Okay.
old Chevy van camper that's got like limo seating all through it. And so we've been pulling some of the stuff out of that. It then ended up in Australia somehow. Like there's like bugger all of these things around. So we've been putting a new head unit and stuff in that. So there's an event in Australia called the Variety Bash, which
Yeah.
is generally done by the older crowd, and they'll do up an old car of some sort in a theme.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Ghostbusters car, a Bluesmobile, or something like
Yeah.
that. So my dad and his mates are going as the A team. So this will have the full A team deck out on it, all the vinyls and stuff, and yeah. So we've been just getting that
That's
ready
cool.
for him to go on that event. So
Yeah.
yeah, lots of auto elect stuff over the past couple of weeks.
Excellent. All right. Well, hey, you survived the podcast. The last thing I ask you to do is you got to pick somebody who's gonna, who should come on, who's an interesting story. You've dropped some names. Who you throwing under the bus?
Look, I'd like to see somebody from the Sherpa program come on.
Yeah.
Because they can definitely explain it a lot better than me, instead of just being the Timmy ablers. I'd love to see, look, either, and they're going to be buddies of mine, I'd love to see either Cringe_Os come on to talk about
Yeah.
some of that Sherpa program, or my emissary counterpart, Afraid, as
All
well.
right.
Either of those guys, because they're heavily involved in the Sherpa side of
Yeah.
programs, and they can tell you a lot more about it than me.
All right.
And both really interesting people. So
Perfect. All right. We'll get a couple more Australia guys on the pod.
that's it.
Excellent. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Trent. I really appreciate that. It was awesome to meet you.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right.